What is up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Rifkin Reacts here on the Sports Insanity Network. I am Mike Rifkin. Hope everybody's doing well. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all who celebrate, and to everybody named Patrick, because we all know that. So, two things on this Rifkin Reacts. We're going to react to a breaking NFL trade that occurred this morning. Plus, I am going to preview the NCAA tournament, which technically begins tonight with the first two of the first four, with the other two being played tomorrow night. So let's get started. We're going to start with the NFL trade that occurred this morning, and it's a tough one for me. The Miami Dolphins are trading wide receiver Jaylen Waddle along with a fourth-round pick in this year's draft to the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are giving the Dolphins their first-round pick this year, which is 30th overall, along with their third and fourth-round pick also this year, also 30th overall. So it's Waddle and the 11th pick in the fourth round for three picks, all 30th overall. And now if you look ahead at the draft capital of the Dolphins, and then we'll get into the Denver side first, but I just want to give the capital for the Dolphins. Here's the draft capital for this year. The Dolphins will have numbers 11 and 30 in the first round, number 43 in the second round, 75, 87, 90, and 94 in the third round, 130 in the fourth round, 151 in the fifth round, nothing in the sixth, and 227 and 238 in the seventh round. So that's the Dolphins' draft capital for this draft. We'll get into what the Dolphins could do with that, what comes next. But let's start with Denver. Now you have the equivalent of two number one receivers with Jaylen Waddle and Courtland Sutton. You know, and this is what having a quarterback on a rookie deal does. Having Bo Nix on a rookie deal allows this kind of move to be made. And Denver, who won the AFC West last year, they got to the AFC Championship game. They lose Bo Nix late in the divisional round. Denver sticks around as one of those teams in the AFC who could ultimately go to the Super Bowl. If they felt Jaylen Waddle was their missing piece, we don't know. But defensively, we know the Broncos are very good. And we do know with Bo Nix, they have the capability offensively as well to put up points. So now if we look at the AFC scope, the teams who could technically win the AFC, Denver's in there. I'm going to throw the Chargers in, even though I'm not really buying it. I felt like this was a trade the Chargers could have made, and people would have been okay with it. But I'll throw the Chargers in there because I know people love Herbert. I'm not his biggest fan. Obviously, if Mahomes is healthy, Kansas City's in this conversation. Baltimore is still in there. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, the Bengals are in there, and then Buffalo, New England. So there's right there 7 teams in the AFC who could win the entire conference. So I like this one from a Denver point of view. It's a response also to Buffalo getting DJ Moore. So now next up on the table is New England. What do? Do they make the A.J. Brown play later? Do they have something else up their sleeve? We'll see. From a Dolphin point of view, I understand the draft capital, and I understand that the Dolphins are rebuilding. I always view Jaylen Waddle as a building block. I thought between him, Devon Achan, uh, Patrick Paul, Aaron Brewer, those were guys you could have as your building blocks, and it just didn't come to fruition. So I don't know if something happened behind the scenes with Jaylen Waddle. We do know there was talks at the trade deadline. The Bills, I know, made an offer. Apparently, Denver was in there too. But it's still a frustrating deal, especially after you sign Malik Willis to 45 million guaranteed. Unless there's something else up John Eric Sullivan's sleeve that which we'll have to wait and see. But does it change the way I think this team has to draft this year? The answer for me is no. I think they knew they needed a receiver going in. I think at 30th overall, you could still land a good receiver. Now, unless they love someone at 11 like Jordan Tyson, or if Cardinal Tate were to slip into that 11 range, I don't know. Um, but my dream for the Dolphins in the first round would be Mansour Delaney, the corner from LSU. And then at 30th overall, Denzel Boston, the receiver from Washington. Those would be the two guys I would look at. Um, if Boston's not there, maybe they look at Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M. But we'll see how they want to build this thing out. And then next up on the agenda is Devon Achan. I'm seeing takes on what they should do with him. He's an elite running back. I think you try everything in your power to sign Devon Achan, and you go from there. But I'm not going to judge the trade for the Dolphins until I see what happens with this draft. And now they have an opportunity through this draft to really do some damage and get some players that they're going to desperately need. Because that receiving room right now is decimated. Your number one receiver is Malik Washington. Not a knock on Malik Washington. He just hasn't proven anything yet. Although maybe they got something else up their sleeve. We'll wait and see. But that's Jaylen Waddle to Denver, along with a fourth for a 1, a 3, and a 4, all in the draft this year. So that's where we are at when it comes to that trade between the Dolphins and the Broncos. Sean Payton gets another great receiver. Bo Nix gets another weapon. Big year on Bo Nix, too. It's year 3. We usually know quarterbacks get paid after year 3. So the other idea, the other thing to talk about is we are going to talk NCAA tournament. Bracket was released Sunday, the tournament. We could technically sit here and say it begins Thursday, technically begins tonight with the first 4. Now, what I'm trying to do, I do have a bracket with me. I just don't have all the regions laid out, which was smart. So I'm just getting that up at the moment on the phone. Okay. So we'll start with the East region. I also have a list of injuries that I will discuss as well. All right. So I'm going to give you my bracket, and then I'll give you my Final Four national champion. But there's a number of teams. So start in the East region where Duke is the number 1 overall seed. They win the ACC regular season title, and they won the conference championship. The one thing we've now learned about Duke, and they have a couple of injuries that we're going to wait to see, and that's Caleb Foster, who has a fractured foot, and Patrick Wabanga, who has had some foot soreness. We'll see if they can come back at some point this tournament. John Shire was pretty confident that we may be able to see them, if not this weekend, maybe next weekend. The one thing we've learned about Duke, though, and this was kind of a question I had coming into the ACC tournament, could they win a game where Cam Boozer is not the best player on the floor? And in the championship game, ACC title game against Virginia, he wasn't great. He wasn't as effective as he's been. Duke still finds a way to win. So that's important for Duke going into the tournament, the mindset wise. I got Duke over Siena in the 116. The 8-9 in the East is Ohio State and TCU. I'm going to go moving the Horned Frogs into the second round. Jamie Dixon's done a really good job. So the 5-12 is St. John's in Northern Iowa. I got the Johnnies moving on. They win the Big East tournament after they win the Big East regular season crown. Rick Pitino done a great job. Zuby Ejiofor, Bryce Hopkins. I think St. John's could be a problem. I know people have been complaining about the region and the fact that they got to travel. This is a dangerous St. John's team. Kansas taking on Cal Baptist. I'm going to go with Bill Self and the Jayhawks. Cal Baptist in the tournament for the first time, so shout them out. UCLA, they are also bothered by a couple of injuries. With Donovan Dent and Tyler Biodu, both are expected to be fine. Biodu had a little bit of a slip in the Big Ten tournament. But they think he's good to go. I just moved around a lot. Sorry about that. Louisville, South Florida. I'm going to go South Florida in the old 11-6 upset. Michigan State gets by North Dakota State. UCLA will get by UCF in the 7-10. UConn will beat Furman in the 2-15. That's the East. The South. Florida, they're going to advance. Don't care who they play. Clemson, Florida's got a great front court with Condon, Thomas Haig, Chinaloo. Clemson, Iowa in the 8-9, give me Clemson. Vanderbilt and McNeese. Fun game 5-12, give me McNeese in the upset. Nebraska, Troy. I'm going to go with Nebraska. They'll get their first win of the tournament. VCU in North Carolina. Give me VCU. No Caleb Wilson for North Carolina. Fractured hand. Give me the Rams. Illinois against Penn. Give me the Illini. St. Mary's and A&M. Give me St. Mary's. I think the Gales will prevail. And then I'm going to take Houston in their game in the 2-15. Sorry, my paper gets cut off. They beat Idaho. So now we'll move to the second round this weekend. Duke, TCU. Give me Duke. St. John's, Kansas. Pitino, Self. Great matchup. Give me the Johnnies. South Florida against Michigan State. Tom Izzo, come on down. UCLA and UConn. Interesting game, fun game. Give me Connecticut. Florida and Clemson. Again, I think the Florida front court is too much. And Boogie Fland. Give me Florida. McNeese in Nebraska. We're going to move McNeese. Come on. Cinderella. VCU in Illinois. We're going to go with the Illini. St. Mary's in Houston is going to be a defensive battle. Give me Houston. And then working from the over, we'll have Duke and St. John's. We're going to move St. John's. I think the Johnnies could beat Duke with their front court. Michigan State and South Florida. We are going to, I'm sorry, Michigan State and UConn. We're going to move the Huskies. We're going to get round 4, Huskies, Johnnies. Florida and McNeese. This is where McNeese's run ends. Illinois and Houston. We're going to move Houston. Over. And then we get Florida and Houston in the South. Florida beats Houston because I am still pissed at Houston for last year. I'm blowing that game to Florida. So are we mentioning the national title game? And then we get St. John's in UConn. I'm sorry, I moved Duke, not UConn. Can't read my own writing sometimes. We're going to have UConn win. So UConn is going to go to the Final Four. They'll play Florida. That's one side of the bracket. Other side. Arizona versus Long Island University is a tough call being a Long Islander. It's really not Arizona. Give me Utah State over Villanova. Give me Wisconsin over High Point. Arkansas over Hawaii. We're going to go BYU over the Texas NC State winner. We're going to go Gonzaga over Kennesaw State. Miami beats Missouri. And then Purdue will beat Queens. And then the last region, the Midwest, Michigan moves on. Well, Georgia and St. Louis, we're going to take St. Louis. Texas Tech, despite not having LT Toppin their best player, arguably, they're going to beat Akron. Alabama's going to beat Hofstra. Tennessee against the Miami, Ohio SMU winner. I'm going to take Miami, Ohio because I want it to happen. Virginia will beat Wright State. Santa Clara in the 10-7 upset over Kentucky. Iowa State over Tennessee State. So then we're going to work our way from bottom up now. Iowa State will beat Santa Clara. Virginia over Miami, Ohio. Alabama will beat Texas Tech. Michigan over St. Louis. Purdue over Miami. Gonzaga over BYU. Arkansas over Wisconsin. Arizona over Utah State. Now we move on. Arizona will beat Arkansas in what could be a shootout. Purdue beats Gonzaga. Michigan beats Alabama. And Iowa State defeats Virginia. Well, so then let's keep this going. Just told you Iowa State will beat Virginia. Michigan will beat Iowa State. Arizona beats Purdue. So that sets up Duke, Connecticut, Arizona, and Michigan as your final 4. I've got UConn beating Florida, Arizona over Michigan, and the Arizona Wildcats cutting down the Nets over UConn. I think UConn makes a great run. I think this will be a fabulous tournament. Arizona cuts down the Nets over UConn. Everyone enjoy the madness. It's the best. It is the best playoffs in all of sports, guys. Hope everyone enjoys. In about 15 minutes or so, Mark and Dan will be live with the 6th man. So stay tuned for that here on the SAN YouTube channel. Again, like, comment, subscribe, here on the YouTube page. Go to the website, thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. They blogs, vlogs, plays, trains, and automobiles. Follow the socials, Facebook, the Sports Insanity Network, Twitter, @Insanity Real. Follow me personally on Twitter, Punmaster Rifkin. Everyone have a great St. Patrick's Day, and I'll talk to you all soon. Thank you for listening to this edition